Hi everyone, it's Mike, Gray 1951, and a couple of nights ago I did a film for the year 1953 in the series of a film for each year of my life, and I don't know, it was such a great year for cinema that I thought I would do another film from that year, and this one is completely different. It's not a science fiction. This is a film noir, and it's Niagara, starring Marilyn Monroe, Joseph Cotten, and Jean Peters, released by 20th Century Fox, and directed by Henry Hathaway. Niagara, great film noir that's in color, which is very unusual for the time. Most of them were in black and white. But now, the primary reason for this film to be made was to promote the career of Marilyn Monroe. By this time, she was being given a tremendous push by 20th Century Fox. Now, Marilyn Monroe had tried to break into films way back in 1946, and in fact, she was under contract to Fox, but after 2 films, one of which her performance ended up on the cutting room floor, they dropped her. So not very much what happened to her until 1950. In 1950, she had 2 very good films. The first one was at MGM. It was a classic film noir crime drama called The Asphalt Jungle, directed by John Huston. And she gave a very small but very good performance in that was noticed by a lot of the critics. And later that year, she did All About Eve in a slightly larger part, and that was the best picture of the year. So that film was made at 20th Century Fox. So they put her under contract once again, and throughout 1950, 51, 52, they really put her in a lot of supporting roles in films, and including a starring role in a dramatic film in 1952 called Don't Bother to Knock, and just really promoting her. And she was becoming more and more famous. People were just dazzled by her looks and the clothes she wore. She was so physically gorgeous that she just got a lot of attention. And by 1953, after making not only this film, but How to Marry a Millionaire and Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, she was the biggest star in the world. She was the biggest star in the world. And it's interesting that this film was a big hit. It was a big moneymaker. And it was the only time in her career that Marilyn Monroe played an evil character, or you might say a character that does evil things. A classic film noir, femme fatale. And 20th Century Fox never let her play another role like this again. In a way, it's kind of a shame, because when a lot of people question whether or not Marilyn Monroe had talent as an actress, I feel that she did. She was a very good comedian, but she also, when she was given something of substance in drama, she really came through with a good performance. And what's interesting about her character in this film, even though it's a femme fatale, it's not a one-dimensional character. It could very easily have been. The story is that it takes place in Niagara Falls, obviously, and there's a married couple, Ray and Polly Cutler, who are a married couple. They've been married for a while already, coming for a delayed honeymoon at Niagara Falls. And while there, they meet another couple who have been married for a while, played by Joseph Cotten and Marilyn Monroe. Their names are George and Rose Loomis. Now, George Loomis is a little bit older than his beautiful, young, sexy wife, and it's obvious that they're having trouble. He is a man who has gone through a run of bad luck, and also has been in the Korean War, and ended up in a military hospital for emotional problems, and he still has emotional problems. And one problem that he seems to have is that he's very jealous of his beautiful young wife, and he suspects all kinds of things about her. And of course, she denies all of this stuff. But as the story progresses, and very quickly in the story, we find out that everything he suspects, and even more, is true. She's having an affair with a younger man. And we also find out that the younger man and Rose are planning to kill George. Okay? So it's interesting that in most film noirs, they have the element of mystery, okay? The story progresses and you get clues to a big conclusion at the end. Well, there's no mystery in this film. It's right in your face pretty much after the first 15 minutes. And we're kind of watching this story play out through the eyes of the Jean Peters character, Polly Cutler, who becomes more and more involved with Rose and George and their problems. Not that she really wants to, but she's there, she's watching it happen, and she just gets involved. So there's no mystery. You just kind of watch this morality play going on, where this man is being driven to near insanity by his cheating wife, And what's more, he doesn't know this at first, but they're planning to kill him. And it's strange that there's no indication that they're trying to kill him to get insurance money or any money that he might have, because it seems like he doesn't have a cent to his name. He's not doing very well. But what seems to be happening is that Rose and this man are planning to kill the husband just out of passion, okay, passion for each other. And what's cool about the character that Monroe is playing, and what gives her more than one dimension, it is so obvious that this woman is doing what she's doing out of just sheer lust and passion for this man. And there's a scene where Rose and her boyfriend are going to meet in a souvenir shop so that he can scribble a message to her on a postcard and then leave it in the rack, and then she's going to pick it up and find out what his plan is for when he's going to murder the husband. So she goes into the souvenir shop, the guy comes in, and of course he's pretending not to see her because he doesn't want anyone to see them together in a public place. So when Rose sees this man, just by the look on her face, this look of adoration, her whole demeanor changes. And no words are spoken, but you can tell that she is just so completely enraptured by this man. She's carried away by what she's doing. So in a way, I don't know, it kind of makes her not necessarily not guilty, but she's not in control of what she's doing. It seems that he is obviously in control of her. At least that's the way I see it. So as the story progresses and things are turned around on Rose and she becomes the one who is hunted and she becomes the victim, she gets your sympathy. And it's kind of surprising. I would say that if given this part to a different actress who, say, just another very sexy blonde bombshell, and there were a lot of them back in the 50s, given to another actress with less sensitivity and less vulnerability than Marilyn Monroe, it could have come off as being much less interesting and almost cartoonish. But I think Marilyn Monroe had a vulnerability about her that she couldn't suppress. I don't think she had, either she didn't have the ability to suppress that quality in her, in all of her performances, or she just had an innate understanding that every person has that quality and it has to shine through, even in somebody who is doing evil things. So, I don't know. And everything else that's going on in this film, it also, the photography is just incredible. I mean, for a film noir that is in color, it still makes great use of shadows and darkness and symbolic lighting. It's wonderful. And it also has, it's like a picture postcard, the shots they have in Niagara Falls. I mean, it shows them from every possible conceivable angle, and it's just beautiful. They show the falls on the Canadian side, and I've never been there myself, but I'm sure that by now, I mean, this is a long time since 1953, they've become much more, everything's overbuilt, everything's much more commercial, so this would be a good time to take a good look at that beautiful landmark and see what it looked like back then. And okay, well, anyway, I just want to recommend this movie. I loved it. This is a movie I can watch again and again. And yeah, one of the best things that Marilyn Monroe ever did. And yeah, after this, she was, like I said, she was the biggest star in the world. She would go on in 1950, and it was also interesting that she would make less films every year after this. She made 3 films in 1953, 2 in 1954, and then 1 each year in 1955, 56, 57, 59, 60, and then of course her last film in 1961. So people actually saw a lot less of Marilyn Monroe as an actress after she became a major star. And maybe that's what made her so much beloved, and people anticipated everything she did. But yeah, I'm a big fan of hers. I think I like her more and more as I see the kind of work she could do. If you have any more interest in Marilyn Monroe as a dramatic actress, you might want to check out a film she did in 1956 called Bus Stop, which probably is the very best thing that she ever did. Okay, in the meantime, check this out. All right, good night.